This is technically true, but it's not great advice. At best, it is not going to cause harm. At worst, it probably could cause a lot of harm to your financial future. So you really don't want to follow this advice. What am I talking about? Well, last week I had the opportunity to present at a one-day symposium at the Financial Planning Association of New England. And it was awesome. It was up at York Beach, Maine. So if you're not familiar with the area, it's Seacoast, Maine. Beautiful seaside town. The beach is right outside. It was a beautiful day. You could see the sand and the water. It was awesome. But I was speaking with a number of financial advisors and financial planners, and I was discussing the one piece of advice that many financial advisors and planners often give to their clients regarding college planning. And that is, you can borrow for college, but not for retirement. And while that is technically true, I suppose, it's terrible advice. In reality, it really doesn't work. And worst case, it can really harm your financial future. And I was doing a little research into where this saying came from. And as far as I could tell, because this saying's been around for as long as I can remember. But if you look back decades ago, back when I went to college, students could borrow for their college, right? College costs a lot less. And so one of the ways you could pay for college was string together a couple part-time jobs, couple scholarships, and take out a small loan for the rest. Students could do this. And that was how you paid. And so the idea generally was that if parents had a student going off to college, instead of having the parents borrow, which would jeopardize their own. The students borrowed. Parents could always help the students pay off the loans. But that isn't true anymore. That is certainly not true today. Today, students are able to borrow very little. So, for example, from a federal direct freshmen are only able to borrow $5,000 per year, and college costs have gone way up, so that it's really not possible to borrow $5,500 for freshman year, and string together a couple part-time jobs to pay for college. You don't earn enough. You don't earn enough to be able to do that because college costs way too much. Which means that a family needs to borrow for college to pay for college. Parents have to do it. Right? Either they have to take out a parent loan, or they have to co-sign on a loan for their kid. And as co-signers, they are legally responsible. Now, think about this advice that say people can borrow for college, borrow for retirement. Technically true. Parents have to take on a lot of debt to pay for their kids' college. Then that puts their financial future in jeopardy. So I know of families who are maxing out their contributions to their workplace retirement plans for their workplace because they want to retire early, which is good advice. Right? Which is good advice generally. But at the same time that they're maxing out the contributions, they're also borrowing a lot of money for their kids' college. And in some cases, they have multiple kids. And in some cases, they have multiple kids that they're going to have to borrow for. All that money that they're saving, thinking that they're going to be able to retire early, that's not even going to be close to covering it because they're going to have to pay. So as I relate to this group, while technically true advice, that is both impractical today and it can really harm a family's financial future. If you ever speak to a financial planner or advisor, here's my advice to you regarding college planning. My advice to you. You should run away from them. Because what that tells me by them giving you that piece of advice is that they don't really know what they're talking about. Is that they don't really know what they're talking about. If you have to borrow for your kids' college, there are ways to do it. There are smarter ways. There are ways to do it. There are smarter ways. Overall financial strategy. You don't want to just take on debt. You don't want just to think, oh yeah, I'm still going to be able to retire early. And then think, oh yeah, I'm still going to be able to retire early. That is, I know one family in particular, and that is absolutely not going to be the case. And I do see this type of situation. That's it for today. As always, I hope you found
That's
this
it for
helpful.
today. As always,
Stay safe.
I hope
stay
you found
healthy.
this helpful.
And I'll see you next
Stay
time.
safe, stay healthy.